What's going on, guys? Fun with Knives back again, and it is review time. The knife that you're looking at is the Viper Odino in carbon fiber, a knife that I was very interested in for a long time, and I got the opportunity to trade for it. I think I got the better end of that trade, so thank you. You know who you are. I've been carrying this knife a lot. I've used it a ton, and I found that this thing has a ton of awesome features and quite a few flaws. So we'll move our crows before hose patch out. I'll start with the specs and we'll get into the review here. Just to note, this is one of my most expensive knives. This is a higher end production knife, I would say. And I'll treat it as such. I think there's definitely lots of design aspects to talk about. So here we go. The blade length on this one is 2.875 inches. Your handle length is 4.375 inches, making your overall length 7.25. Great size for EDC. I can't complain about any of that as far as specifications go. Now your blade thickness is a fairly thick 0.15 inches, and then your handle thickness is 0.52. So fairly standard. I mean, it's robust. A lot of higher end production knives are, but not so much so that it takes away from the cutting performance. Your weight on this guy, 4.35 ounces. A tiny bit heavy, but there's quite a bit of steel in that blade. Titanium here, and then carbon fiber lightens that up. I know that this Viper Odino comes in G10 for a little bit cheaper, and then a full titanium version as well. So I'm glad I got the carbon fiber, because this is the only carbon fiber I've actually owned in a knife. So this knife is from Italy. I believe Viper Knives is out of Italy. It is designed by Jesper Voxnaes, very prominent knife designer in the knife world. A lot of his designs really catch my eye. Something about him just calls to me, and this one's called the Odino, I believe in reference to the Norse god Odin, which is awesome. I'm all about the Norse mythology kind of stuff. I play Skyrim. I'm a gamer nerd. So a lot of aspects of this knife call to me. I love the finger choil. I love the shape of the blade. It's a full flat ground drop point, which I love. The blade steel here is N690CO from Bowler. There's very controversial things on this steel. I've heard a lot of people say it's extremely similar to 440C. I've heard some people say it's a near super steel. I don't know for sure. I'm not a metallurgy expert, and I'm definitely not a blade steel expert, but what I can tell you, it's performed very well. It keeps an edge for an adequate amount of time, and it is extremely easy to resharpen and get a razor edge on. So first and foremost on the blade, though, is I love the shape. I said fully flat ground. It's nearly there. There's a little flat up top, but a very big bellied drop point. If you guys remember my funny story, this is the knife my coworker threw at a box, messed up the tip, and I'm in the process of grinding that down. So just kind of ignore those scratches on the top of the spine. Here's the markings on it. Satin finish on the blade. It's going to take fingerprints very well. Maniago, Italy. There's Voxnaes design logo. Vox Knives. Super cool. So I love the steel. I love the blade shape. I love the length too. This is going to be one of those rare folders underneath 3-inch blade length that I actually want to carry. A lot of knives that are underneath 3 inches blade length I feel are very lacking. They don't have the robustness, or they don't have the cutting capability that I would expect in an EDC knife. But if I'm traveling for work or going somewhere which, a state or a city or whatever requires a knife of underneath 3 inches in blade length, this is going to be the one I choose, just because I feel like it can take a lot of abuse. Now, some things to note with this: it's very easy to sharpen. I said you can have your consistent angle sharpener clamp onto this little flat here. It does have your hole, but the top of the spine is crowned, but only to here. So this is all rounded up top, which is awesome for ergonomics, which we'll get to in a moment. But it's nice and smooth. There's no sharp edges that are really going to dig into you. Now your deployment is by that hole. You can use your thumb, obviously. You can flick it out, rotate it slowly, and then my favorite is kind of the Spidey flick from the back. Now, something to note, this hole is not chamfered off. It is very sharp. In fact, if you use your middle finger, you kind of stick your nail in there and flick it out, it's going to take some of your nail off. You can see some of it right there. This is sharp. This is one of those problems that a lot of people see with Taiwanese-made Spydercos, where the hole, your Spidey hole, is sharp. It's just kind of a feature that shouldn't be there in this price point of knife. This knife costs around $190. Higher end of production, high end of materials. It's got good fit and finish, but not there. The hole does not need to be sharp. At this price point, I would expect it to be taken care of, but it's not. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to note. This knife is riding on bearings. It is ultra smooth. I mean, you can close it shut super easy. You can see how fast that blade drops once you disengage the lock bar. Speaking of the lock bar, this is a titanium frame lock, hitting very early. I mean, we're talking 20%, but there is no lock bar insert. So you have titanium on steel contact, which leads to the very undesirable lock stick. Now, mine had lots of lock stick when it got to me, and it's definitely dialed down now that this knife has seen a lot of use. It's annoying. That's what I can say it is. It's not a deal breaker per se. It doesn't happen every time the lock is engaged. But it is something that I wish wasn't there. I think it would be easy to add a lock bar insert here. I really do. And a lot of knives in this price point, or even cheaper, that have a titanium frame lock will have a hardened steel lock bar insert. So if a lock stick is something that infuriates you and that you do not like, this might not be the knife for you. Now, something I do like about the lock bar, well, the lockup is extremely solid. I mean, there's no blade play in any direction, and the shape of the lock bar is really cool. I forget what this is called. I'm sure you guys can help me out. I believe it's like a relief cut in the lock bar or whatever. Kind of cool. They kind of scalloped it out, but the shape of the lock bar is cool. It's not just a solid piece of steel. This forms part of your finger choil, but I just like the way it kind of cuts in and out. It's kind of futuristic, a little bit. You guys know I'm all about that. I think the real selling point here is the handle, though. This is carbon fiber. As far as the quality of the carbon fiber, I couldn't tell you. I've had very little experience with carbon fiber. All I know is that this is real carbon fiber. It's not a laminate. There's no G10 underneath there. That is a full carbon fiber slab. It does have some pitting in it, though. You see these little holes in it. I've heard that's a problem with some carbon fibers. Like I said, I'm far from an expert on that, but it's not something that really bothers me. It's not super apparent, but your edges on your handle are nicely chamfered off. Got no 90-degree angles that are going to dig into your hand when you're using the knife. And then your lock side is going to have some stonewashed titanium, which looks awesome. I love stonewashing on blades and titanium in the handle scales as well, and the same kind of chamfering job done here. There's your pivot there. Pretty standard pivot. Nothing to really show off there. Your clip is something that's very cool, though. It kind of inserts into the blade. It's held in by one screw, and it deep carries. Not so much so that it's difficult to take the knife out, but you're getting only, I mean, a quarter inch out of your pocket at most, and it rides extremely well. The whole package of this knife, it's a little boxy when it's closed, but at a 1/2 inch thick, I was a little bit worried how it was going to carry, but the pocket clip has the perfect amount of tension, and it just works really well. It's a unique kind of pocket clip, and I really dig it. Now you have mostly open construction. You see your stop pin there, just that one standoff, and then your backspacer, which is titanium anodized, a very cool jean blue color. I've heard that mentioned many times in other reviews. It's a very, very light grayish blue, and I love it. I love the color of it. It looks much better in natural light, as many things do. But you got a little bit of knurling on that for aided grip here in your palm. Integrated lanyard slot into there. I don't think I'll throw a lanyard on this one, but you definitely could. Blade centering has been perfect. Since the day I got it through all use, I have not touched the pivot on this one whatsoever. I have not even needed to disassemble it. So as far as quality control goes, I think Viper Knives is on point. Now, can you tell that I like this knife? Because I really do. I like the design. I like the size. You got your forward finger choil here. It's a little bit of an odd shape. It's in an odd place. I mean, it's not indented a whole lot. It's not uncomfortable to use, but with that crown spine, it's not bad. So ergonomics, for how short of a handle this is, because really you're starting here rather than here, it provides a 3.5 finger grip for me, which isn't really a problem. But I think for a sub 3-inch blade, the ergonomics on this knife are good, maybe even great. I have no problems with that whatsoever. They've extended the lock bar out a little bit from this carbon fiber scale, so it's very easy to access. Like I said, very smooth deployment and closing action on it. So I like a whole lot of features about this knife. I like the carbon fiber, the titanium, the shape of the lock bar, the shape of the blade, the materials used, the blue anodization. But do I recommend this knife? No, I do not. At $190, you could find much better blades with better features. Now, why do I say that? Well, starting out with the hole. Your opening hole is not chamfered off even a little bit. It's just ridiculously sharp, and it shouldn't be. Not that I have very soft, girlish hands. It's just something you don't want to see at this price point. Now, if this cost $80, I don't think I would have even mentioned it. Something else to note, there's almost no detent. Look how easy this is to shake out. No problem at all. The detent is so weak that if you touch the thumb hole, the blade comes out. And that is going to be a problem for knife aficionados, knife collectors, people that are really interested in the features of the knife. That is a deal breaker for a lot of people. I mean, the detent is so weak. I mean, you can barely flick it and the knife comes swinging out there. Now, am I afraid it's going to open my pocket? No. The spine of the blade is up against the seam of my pocket, so no. But it's just something that shouldn't be there. And then you got the lock stick issue. So you have 3 fairly major issues in a $190 knife that you don't really see in $100 knives. And I think that's keeping this knife from being a home run. Now, if that had a steel lock bar insert, that hole was chamfered off, and the detent was stronger, this may be one of my favorite knives of all time because of the uniqueness, the design, the materials used. And like I said, I really like Jesper Voxnay's designs, but those issues are keeping it from that. So do I think this is a bad knife? No. I'm going to keep it around. I like it a lot. I'll take it with its flaws because, first of all, I got a better end of a trade deal, and secondly, I really just like the lines, the curvature of the handle, the ergonomics are good, the robustness of this medium-sized EDC knife, I like it. And that's just personal preference. If you can't deal with those issues, I suggest you look elsewhere. I think ZT's got a lot of knives in this price range that will work better for you. Spyderco maybe, Benchmade. There's tons of different options out there, but no, this is not the best $190 you could spend. So, thanks guys for watching. As always, check out the Viper Odino in either carbon fiber, titanium, or G10 if you're interested. And I'm going to have more reviews and videos coming up, so stay tuned. And remember, have fun with your knives.